Yeah, that's crazy.
All that serious? All that necessary? You serious? Yeah, dude. You serious? Not that deep. Stepping out, hands up, seatbelt. Step out. And you can take the door. You can take my door right here on my right. I'm keeping my fucking hands up. I'm not reaching for no gun, bro. Step out. Can I hold my phone?
Yeah, that's crazy.
All that serious? All that necessary? You serious? Yeah, dude. You serious? Not that deep. Stepping out, hands up. Seatbelt. Step out. And you can take the door. You can take my door right here on my right.
All praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first. She just watched that was a video of Terrence Crawford being held at gunpoint, not by robbers. This is not a robbery, by the police. So a normal citizen is harassed by the police. They have him at gunpoint. For what? The charge was reckless driving. The truth is, that's a bogus charge, and there's no reason you should draw a weapon on a person for that. Now, the story goes something like this. Terrence Crawford stopped, and a set of cars in his entourage were stopped. The police came to Terrence Crawford, and he asked what the problem was, and they said something about him breaking a red light or something like that, which wasn't true. And then they proceeded to ask him questions. In so doing, I think Terrence Crawford suggested, these photos are by Boxing Eagle, by the way, shout out to Boxing Eagle. Terrence Crawford suggested that there are some licensed firearms in the car, to which the officer immediately pulled his gun. As you can see, he has his gun pointed at Terrence Crawford in the front, willing to shoot him in the head. To which Terrence Crawford was, and they immediately commanded him to come out the car along with all the other occupants. And that's what you were seeing. The officer pulled his weapon and was pointing it at Terrence Crawford's head. To which Terrence Crawford, coming out the car with his hands up, said, "I'm not pulling for anything." When they took him out the car and then they handcuffed him. Now, mind you, you shouldn't be handcuffing anyone because of supposed reckless driving. You shouldn't pull your weapon as a police officer on anyone for reckless driving. You shouldn't be holding anyone at gunpoint, even if they mention that there are guns in the vehicle, licensed guns in the vehicle. There's no reason to draw your weapon at that point in time and tell you to come out at gunpoint. They had everybody leave the vehicle at gunpoint. Everyone had to leave the vehicle. They searched the vehicle. And of course, they didn't find any guns except for on Terrence Crawford's bodyguard had a gun. Now, the point I'm making is that these officers knew who Terrence Crawford was. Terrence Crawford is, of course, the greatest boxer of our era. They know that Terrence Crawford fought Canelo Alvarez. Shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV, by the way. These officers knew that. They were just trying to find a reason to kill him. Literally, they were trying to find a reason to kill this man and chalk it up as an accident. I I'm going to tell you the fundamental problem with police officers, not just in the United States, but worldwide. And the police, by the way. The police are actually supposedly there to maintain law and order, but really they are enforcers for the elites. It's through a fake judicial system that's supposed to be for law and order. In the United States of America, as we know, racism is on the rise because, obviously, Donald Trump, who pushes white supremacist values, in places like Nebraska, Tennessee, the South, have been known to be very racist. When Jack Johnson won the heavyweight championship of the world and the black people started to rejoice, the white people immediately started lynching them and killing them. They went on a killing spree in America. Those of you know what Black Wall Street was in America, really great, prosperous place. The whites felt intimidated and envied what was happening, and they went on a killing spree and destroyed and burnt Black Wall Street. What these cops did through a trigger, they didn't even realize they were triggered to do it. They were trying to send a message to Terrence Crawford that I don't care who you are, you're black, and we're superior to you. That officer drew his weapon on an unarmed person who is a celebrity and a celebrity for black people in the world. He drew his weapon. That officer didn't do that of himself. First of all, these officers are trained in conjunction with the IDF, the Israeli military. They are extremely racist and will do a lot of racist things, especially these white cops and some black cops who have been indoctrinated under that system. So this was blatant, plain racism, which reverberated all over the world. This is making news all over the world. This is not something that's isolated to Omaha, Nebraska. And the repercussions for this are going to be very severe, not only on that officer who drew his weapon, who should not have drawn his weapon. There's no excuse for it. Don't tell me you're afraid. Don't tell me because you heard the word gun, you drew your weapon. Fuck out of here with that shit. If you can't understand context, and somebody, a law-abiding citizen is telling you X, Y, and Z, and you draw your weapon on them, then you deserve everything that you have coming to you. That officer he should have pulled the trigger, because guess what? He's in a hell of a lot of trouble now. And for those people who think this is just an America thing, no. This is an American thing. This is a global thing. As I said before, Jack Johnson, when he beat the White Hope, and black people started to celebrate. Immediately, the white people started lynching and burning and killing and raping and destroying the black people who rejoiced, because they didn't like that. Because the lies that we've been taught over the years about black people, the original race of people on this planet was black. It came from what you guys call Africa. The original earth people, the original people of the earth. And the earth is black itself. We're black. They are the people who have the maximal phenotypical features. The racist white cop that pulled his gun, he descended from people who lived in caves. That's why, for him and his theory of evolution, men came from caves. Men didn't come from caves, while his ancestors were living in caves. The rest of the black world were building pyramids, had schools of thought, were knowledgeable in the sciences that these white people have stolen. The sciences that we know today and we apply today, every single one of them, isn't created or was found out by white people. No. They inherited that, and they borrowed what was being used before. This is why this era, the era of what we call iron and clay, is inferior to the eras before it. The golden age was long before this time. Men had more attributes, powers, and abilities, as well as mankind also wasn't white. The majority of the white people come from the Caucasus Mountains. They came from caves. They lived in ice. What white people call the Ice Age, it wasn't the Ice Age everywhere. It was the Ice Age for them. And they adapted to the Ice Age. So this guy who draws his weapon on Terence Crawford, he feels inferior to him. And in order to gain power, in order to gain control, he has to exert his power. He misused his power. It's a misuse of power. Now, the question that I have is this. This is a big question. How many black people has this cop shot and killed? And then he has gotten off of? That's what I'd like to know. I would like to know how many. How many black people has he intimidated using his weapon? If he's so gung-ho to want to go to war, why doesn't he just stop being a cop and go into war zones where he can commit war crimes and not be held accountable for it? Because that cop, his face, his name, his profile, his background, we're going to find it out. And we're going to put him on blast so the whole world could see. I promise you that. We're going to find out his name, his badge number, where he resides. And we're going to put some heat on his ass. And him and any other law enforcement that get any ideas, any ICE agents that get any ideas. You're going to be put on blast. ICE is already way out of its league in which it's doing a lot of illegal things. And this cop, he's not going to get away scotch-free. You might as well have pulled the trigger and killed Terence Crawford, buddy, because your life's about to be a living hell. Because you wasn't doing your job. You're doing something else, but you wasn't doing your job. And we'll make it our duty to make your life a living hell. If you stay in the police force, you're going to have to resign, maybe retire. I couldn't give a damn what you do. But we will hunt you down and we will expose you for what you've done. Because you don't do that to an all-time great and get away with it. And if Terence Crawford won't pursue it, I guarantee you somebody in Omaha is going to hire a private eye to find out everything about your ass. Everything. You and the whole squad that was with you. Now, with respect to Terence Bud Crawford, security guards, and everybody else, and I've talked about this at length, and I'm going to continue talking about these things. I just want to let you guys know, with no uncertain terms, that regardless of how much these racists out there, organized or otherwise, want to hate on black people, particularly people of color, more specifically people of African descent, and even more specifically Africans. If you want to continue that, just understand your days are numbered. All of your ideologies and so on that you spewed in academics and in the all-around science world, those days are numbered. The truth has come to light. I'm about to say some things which are going to sound quite inflammatory, but I don't care. Your books, like the Bible, that you have tricked everyone into believing, but which have been filled with truths, yes, but also some lies, and your lying interpretation of the Bible as well. Those days have come to an end. You're not going to be able to use that book on anyone. All your man-made religions that you've come up with, your lies, we see through them. Your political systems, which are all filled with lies, because you don't even keep half the things that you say are constitutional and otherwise. Those days have come to an end. There's a lot we can do to stop you. On my other channel, Free Palestine and Restore the Snyderverse, we've realized that there are movements now. And it's time the people rise up. There are certain laws you shouldn't obey, point blank and period. If it's bad law, you don't follow it. If it's good law, you follow it. The masses cannot be kept in line by intimidation anymore. We will not be allowing ourselves to do so. And we will know what the truth is. And once we know what the truth is, we're coming for you. Every last one of you who have violated the truth and exploited people and put people in chains and bondage. We're coming for every last one of you. That's a promise we will keep. What happens after that is going to be up to us, how we can best manage it. But your kingdom is going to fall, and fall horribly. Shout out to Terrence Bud Crawford for handling himself, and the Most High, thank you so very much for preserving this man's life and his entourage. There will be consequences for these actions. And that Omaha Police Department and their whole police service is going to get an overhaul, because I do believe that the mindset in there is somewhat racist. And I don't want to blanketly put things over the Omaha Police Department, but they're looking real bad right now in the face of the world, especially these white cops who feel they have power when they don't. So, to the police officers out there, I don't care where you are in the world, because we know policing came as a result of slavery. And you're just an enforcer to keep people in line with the slave trade and with the plantation. We know what you really are. But in order for things to change, because you do know that in the Wild Wild West, there were no police officers. There were sheriffs, but there were no police officers. Policing is a pretty recent thing, just so you guys know. And you should know where its roots actually come from. So when this officer behaves like he does, he's being in line with that plantation mentality. And it's not just black people. It's all the people now who are used as servants of the system. So this gangster rolls up on Terrence Crawford, has the audacity to hold this man at gunpoint, even though he has done nothing wrong. He never brandished a firearm. All he informed the officer was there were firearms in his vehicle. I will say, if this is the way our officers behave, once they hear someone say there's a firearm, if there's something resoundingly wrong about that, you do not draw a weapon on an unarmed person. And even if you're not sure that that person is unarmed, I don't care if you imagined that you saw a gun somewhere in the vehicle. I couldn't care less what you imagine. You do not brandish a weapon on an unarmed person. These officers are going overboard. Blue Blood Sports TV told us that his uncle and his grandfather were murdered by the police officers. I said murdered. I couldn't care if you're in pursuit of a criminal. You do not pull your weapon and fire on someone who is unarmed and who has not fired at you. I couldn't care about stand your ground. You just don't do it. And these officers, they get off with their lives. They're allowed to live. I couldn't give a damn that you sued them for how much you sued them for. I couldn't give a damn. These officers get off with their lives. They get to go back on the job. They get to do the same thing all over again. You cannot just suspend an officer for this. This shows me that his training, he's not on par. He's not trained properly to deal with these issues. So officers should know they already have bulletproof vests and all kinds of shit. If you pull a car aside and you think that the person in the vehicle may be brandishing a weapon, but you're not sure, you do not pull your weapon on them and then search the car. That is asinine. You angle yourself so that if anything happens, you can pull your weapon and use it. But you don't. This is common sense. You just don't stay in the line of fire. You stay behind them or to the side of them so that they have to turn to pull their weapon and shoot you. And even then, you have to be careful enough, because life is not something you can just get back any day. You have to be careful enough in how you're speaking to them, etc. And there should be a backup officer on the other side to ensure that if this person does pull a weapon, the guy on the other side could take him out. But you as an officer need to be careful how you approach things. You need to be calm, you need to be collective, but you need to be sharp, you need to be alert, you should be observant. It takes special people to be police officers to start with. If you're going to be yelling and shouting at people, you're not an officer of the law. You need to be calm and collective. You need to know, assess the situation and know when somebody's a threat and when they're not. So, I'm a businessman. I go out there. I see shady characters all the time. I've seen characters that wanted to rob me. But the one thing I don't do is I won't just pull a weapon on anybody and just shoot them because I think they're a threat. That's shitty. That's stupid. I know I'm a target. I know there's danger. But I'm not just going to fire off a weapon on someone. And even if I do or don't have a weapon, I'm also very careful to assess people. I'm constantly assessing people. And as an officer who's supposed to maintain the law, there's always a bullseye on your back. But the one thing you don't do, whether you're in plain clothes or you're in an officer's uniform, is try to annihilate somebody and shoot somebody and then afterwards realize, oh, I made a mistake. Fuck that. You made a mistake that you're going to pay for now for the rest of your life. You're either in jail for manslaughter or you're in jail for murder. But either way, you can't fuck up on the job. There's no fucking up, because when you fuck up, somebody's life is gone or somebody's life is taken from them. That's the same thing's going on in Israel. And then they say, oh, we fucked up. Well, you fucked up. You're going to pay for that. And they're going to pay for that. Believe you me, every last one of those guys are going to pay for it. Because life is a very valuable thing. So that's what I've got to say about this. There are going to be repercussions for this. I promise you that. Globally. You're not going to let this slide. Terrence Crawford is too good a person for me to see him stupidly be murdered by some fucking racist. What you need's out.